In this video, we're going to harvest the sweet potatoes, and I've already got some peeking up through the top, so that's exciting, and it always seems like a treasure hunt. Last year, we had really good success growing in the containers, so let's go see what we got. I'm going to get started by laying down a tarp. That way when I empty everything out, I can put the remaining soil back in and we can use it next year. Peeking. Oh, I'm excited. The chickens will appreciate the greens. The bunnies will too. Oh, exciting. Okay, let's dump it out. Oh boy. No, no, no. He stole my sweet potato. Donkey! Donkey! I gotta pay the tax. I'm so excited to have these. So this is the first one out of 7 containers. No, sir. We're gonna get the rest of these emptied, and at the end, stick around, we're gonna weigh them and see how much we got. And I'll also get the soil back in these containers and show you how I get them ready for winter. And then I'll show you how we store these so that I can eat them all winter long. I picked out the biggest tarp we had. And we still got plenty of soil for next year. I piled these all up on here because it was supposed to frost last night, and it didn't frost, but it did get really cold. So since some of these were poking out, I just kind of layered the greens back on top so that if it did freeze last night, it wouldn't hurt my potatoes. Now, one of the reasons that I garden in the containers that I do is after the age of 50, everything just got a little harder. And I have a video on how I grew potatoes in the past in the ground versus in the containers that explains a lot more of that. It's a whole lot easier than getting down on my hands and knees and digging in the ground. So this works good for me. A lot of these are poking out of the top, so I'm gonna harvest them just digging around. And if it feels like there's might be some more down in the soil, I'll dump it out. It'll be easier that way. This one had 1, 2, 3, 4 plants in it. So for 4 plants, that's not too bad. Pretty. Let's see what else we got. Oh, there's. We might have to dump it. These didn't get very big. think I'm going to dump it. Oh, yeah. Last year, I grew potatoes in that big raised bed. Well, it's a deep raised bed. It's not big. And they really, really like it in there. But this year, I saved it and grew some carrots and onions. But now I have some new raised beds. And I'll link a video about those in the description. But next year, I'm saving that bed for sweet potatoes because they were really happy in that bed. It's finally starting to feel like fall and it's a little chilly out here, so I'm enjoying it. My favorite garden activity on my birthday, and a good cup of coffee. Can't beat it. 3 plants in it. Ooh. Ooh. Are you helping? You've had enough. Oh, now these have done good. Let's see here. And in the containers where the soil is nice and soft, they come out pretty good and you don't get a lot of breakage like I did when I was doing it in the ground. It's like a Christmas ornament. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I bet there's not any more. Huh? Oh. Oh, I got more here. Well, silly Willy. Something's been eating it. Okay, you can have it. Come on. Okay, I'm gonna dump this one out. There's more down in there. container is a purple sweet potato. It is not the best sweet potato, but it is a low glycemic sweet potato, and it comes in handy if you're trying to do something fun and it gives something a natural purple color. Comes in handy. So that's the only reason I planted any, because they don't have a super flavor, but they store well and they grow pretty good. And you can see they get kind of a milky, that's the starches in the sweet potato, and that's why we wait a little while before we eat them, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Sweet potatoes take 120 days to mature, and I planted these at the 1st of June, last of May, 1st of June. So we're right at 120 days, and I wanted to wait just a little bit longer, but it started getting cold and they are not frost hardy. The plants will die, but I mean the greens will die off the top, and if you can't get your potatoes out of the ground within a few days after that, as long as it's not a like deep hard freeze where the ground freezes, you're good. They're fine in the ground for just a little bit, but you don't want to leave them in the ground because critters like to eat them too. You can see in this one, something's been in that one. I experimented in this one. It's a smaller pot, and I think I put 4 plants in it instead of 3, just to kind of see how it did. Seems like it did okay. Oh, that's nice. That was pretty nice. And that one's pretty nice. Big one. Ooh, it's a big one. Okay, that's it. Okay, I've got this old baby scale. It's not 100% accurate, but it's close enough. Okay, that's 10 pounds. I'm gonna do them in increments of 10, that way I can keep track of it better. Look at this. See. It grew around. It was in there like that. That's funny. 30. How super easy was that? The total was 43 pounds. That was 38 pounds of the orange sweet potatoes. No, sir. And 4 pounds of the purple sweet potatoes. So you can't beat that. That was 7 containers. Let's see, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. About 26-ish plants and 43 pounds of sweet potatoes. I think that's awesome. And it was easy breezy. You could do it. Hello, sir. What are you doing? Hmm? You want to be doing? Now that wasn't too bad at all. Easy breezy. He's mad because I won't let him back in here. They drank my coffee. I'm going to get all these in the wheelbarrow and I get them in the house and show you how I store them here in just a minute. And in the meantime, I want to tell you how I will prepare these tubs for the winter. The majority of these tubs, I have a cousin, Lovey's heart, he works for a pretty good sized landscape company in another state, and he saves me these big containers. So if you'd like to get a hold of some of these for free, if not really cheap, probably free, ask around if you have landscapers in your community. See if they have any that they are just going to throw away. They'd probably give you some. So that's a free container, and these things are huge. Joe, will you comment and tell me how big these containers are? And I'll show you here in just a second. I barely used any of the soil out of these containers with growing these. So the only thing that I need to consider replacing is some of the nutrients. And I have a method that I used to use. I didn't use it last year, but I'm going to go back to it because it really was productive. And it's called bokashi, and it's super easy. And in the wintertime, I can use my compost and do this under my sink or down in the basement and not have to come out here in the cold. But not only that, it's a type of composting that I can put anything in there. You can even put your dairy. Like if you cooked pasta, you can throw your noodles in it. It's great. So what I'll do is I'll come in, put probably some rabbit poo or some compost and some straw, old leaves or hay on top of each of these. I don't leave anything exposed, no soil exposed to sun, rain, winter, anything. Cover it all. And then we'll come out later in the winter and bury the bokashi in each one of the containers, and the worms love it. It's great. A lot of people like to cure their sweet potatoes, and there's a whole process to that, and I've done it both ways, and I don't do that anymore, and I'll show you what I do. The reason they do that is that the sweet potatoes, when you first pick them, if you eat them, they're not quite as good. They're not bad, you can eat them, no biggie. But if you let them sit for a while, especially under certain humidity and temperature, they say that that cures them, and they supposedly last better all winter. I quit doing that several years ago, and they last just fine, and I'll show you what I do. I just lay these out on a shelf in my basement, and I have these crates as well, and I try to eat the smaller ones first, or any of them with any blemishes, and I save the larger, healthier ones to last throughout the winter, and it's been very successful. And here's that video I was telling you about earlier where I compared in-ground and containers. And I thank you all so much for hanging out with me. My name's Loanna, and this is Little Bit of Homestead.